probably prolifically. I'm sure that they, made basket traps and all kinds of other traps for fish instead of actually doing it like an angler does today.
Yeah, it wouldn't be practical to go out and spend your whole day, with a line in the water trying to catch a fish at a time
Mm-hmm.
when, we know that they had nets. Heck, even 2,000 years ago, it talks about in the
Yeah.
Bible, these guys were going out with nets to catch the fish, and if, it reads more like a history book than anything else, but it just tells you that they were, the smart thing would be to catch in nets. And, um, the whales out there, they wash up the shore, and people get ideas of, well, if we can't, one doesn't wash up the shore, we're going out and find a way to kill one, bring it
Yeah,
back.
we're gonna build little things out of animal skins with sticks that are like 20 pounds and go out and hunt a 20,000 pound whale. That's bravery, you know.
It is.
Uh,
It is. I mean, the Eskimos do it today.
yeah,
They go out with
yeah.
a boat
Little
and
kayak, well, pretty big kayak they use
yeah,
usually, but you know,
but they still do it. But
yeah,
but along the coastline, though, you get the best, or with the rivers and the coastline, you get your best transportation too, your connections. The riverways are the highways of nature. The coastline is easily navigable to a port to trade your goods and supplies. um, I think that's a
Well,
big thing too.
even today, ship transport remains the cheapest option for shipping. Still the cheapest transportation method that we know of.
yeah.
Hmm. Absolutely. um, but what is, but then there's resources, energy. That's a big thing. I think that's what the world is going through right now. It's all about energy. We're
Yeah.
kind of, they're
So does
talking switching.
abundance create peace? Is that what
Yes, I
creates
think
peace?
in a way, because people
Yeah.
are restless. Do you not agree? People get restless when they don't have an abundance of stuff.
Hmm.
Can I just say something? You had the question originally about, does scarcity cause war or whatever. I think this is the other way around. Is their playbook has been, if you go and look at history, we always start with a little famine and then we'll throw a little war in there. And then after that's done, then we'll have prosperity and whatever. And it seems to be the same play every time. It's like the same thing. And we can kind of see that's exactly what they're trying to do now, except a lot of us are kind of awake to this now. So they're kind of like, yeah, maybe we should, play it up a little bit, change it up a little bit, change the script a little bit here, because they're starting to clue in. They know exactly what we're going to do before we do it, and it's not as much fun for them. So yeah, so that's exactly what they're doing. They're sabotaging our food.
Yeah.
We know we're going to go into famine, right? That's what they want. And how are they going to do that? The only way they're going to do that and ensure that is by sabotaging our food, and that's what they've been doing.
I
Blowing
agree,
up
Nina.
factories, creating natural disasters, floods, fire, you name it, man. Whatever they can do, they've been doing it.
Yeah.
Just go and
Great,
look at your news,
great point,
So
Nina. And there's one of the problems with peace is the average person wants peace, but we see throughout history we're being manipulated.
yeah, we all
You
want
know,
peace. Nobody wants to go to war. I don't think there's a single guy out there that says that, yeah, I want to go out and kill people today. No, they're being manipulated by thinking that they're doing it in the honor of the country and the people, and that they're doing something honorable here, but not really. When they, I don't know how they can sleep at night. They must be so brainwashed that I don't know how they can close their eyes after what they're doing. Like I can't even watch the stuff in the Middle East. Like I try to get through some of the shows, like for instance, I'm forgetting his name. Not Cliff High, Crow House.
mhm.
He's on BitChute here, and he's got all the information. Like this, yeah, because he lived down there, and he's got footage that other people don't have. And of course, he's on Odyssey and whatever, so he doesn't have to worry about the fluff tube regulations and everything. So you get to see it there, and it's almost too much for me. Like I can't, like the children, and like it's just I just can't believe that
It is horrible.
nowadays, you know, that people are still doing this kind of stuff. Like, you know, it's one thing, you know,
Mhm.
listening to history because it's like, okay, well, that was a long time ago. Maybe we didn't know any better, you know, and excuse it away somehow, right? But it's still going on. It's still going on. Like, you know, like I just can't believe it. Honestly.
Yeah. Well,
and it's
I
the
hate-
same people,
Oh yeah.
same damn people.
Yeah.
But I hate to say it, but people, you know, we think we're good. I mean, you, me, everybody here, and the people in chat, everybody believes that they are good people. And for the most part, we are. But I think something changes in us. It's like dogs. You know, I'll give the example of a dog. I got a dog, it barks, you know, it's friendly, it's nice. All of a sudden, I get 2 or 3 dogs together, and you know, my dog doesn't eat chickens or do that stuff like that. But if I get another dog here and it starts to chase a chicken, or I get 2 or 3 dogs and they start biting and chasing that chicken, my dog would go in and start chasing and biting and eating that chicken too. Why is that? My dog's real friendly. It loves chickens. It doesn't do any of that stuff. It never does.
Yeah.
When it's by itself, it's a real friendly dog. It's not hungry, but another dog comes around, starts chasing that chicken. My dog jumps right in, becomes the meanest, viciousest dog you ever did see. Why is that?
It's group
Well, it's
group
trying
dynamics.
it's trying to keep up, you know, but it's that mob mentality, right? We get a few people together, and next thing you know, now we're, you know, yeah, I mean, it's, yeah, you know, and especially if we're hungry or we're upset, we're during war, like, yeah, this doesn't take much for us to go animalistic, honestly, like, you know what I mean? So,
Especially if you convince a country that they're the ones being attacked, right? If you
right. So the people down there, of course, this has been going, what, 75 years? So, you know, 3 generations at least. Yeah, it's inbred now. That hatred is inbred, where they think that, yeah, they gotta die. You know, like, you know, and they're each saying the same thing, right? Neither wants to, you know. But to me, from what I can see, it looks like it's, you know, it's Israel, you know, it's Israel's fault as far as I'm concerned. Like, I don't see how
it's actually the United States' fault, because the United
well,
States
yeah,
is not only sponsoring Israel, but they're sponsoring all the Arab states as well. And if it wasn't the U.S. constantly sending financial aid over there to the tune of billions of dollars a year, this conflict would have been over about 70 years ago instead
Yeah,
of
there was
75 years.
yeah.
There also
Well,
was the
when you look
Balfour
back at
Declaration of
when you
from the
look at
rocket.
where Netanyahu comes from, he actually is CIA.
Yeah,
He
he
was
was
educated
educated at
in the
Harvard.
US.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Harvard
educated at
educated.
Harvard. That's why he speaks so good English.
It's another Rothschild's operation, unfortunately.
how more blatant can it be? I mean, come on now. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, like, so yeah, he's just a puppet for the US. You know, that's the thing. And
Yeah, it really, people don't want, you're right. People don't want to go to war. You know, I don't want to get my gun out and fight somebody else. I really don't want to fight. I just want to have a good life, like all of you want to have. Well, I don't want war and bombs flying down. I don't want that stuff. And I don't think most of those people do either. But I think it's kind of like the dog thing. You know, you get one of those Palestine guys, I don't even know what to call them, and the Jewish guys. I don't know if I'm politically correct or not, people. I'm sorry, but you put the 2 guys in a room, and I bet you they would have a good conversation together. But you put, say, 10 of them Palestinians in a room and 1 or 2 Jewish guys together, and then Palestine guys would probably beat them up and you know, destroy them, and vice versa. Jewish guys against the Palestinian guys. It's a mob mentality. Even those guys would probably shake hands if they were just in a room by themselves. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Yeah, I grew up on that street over there. Yeah, you remember the guy who sold the donuts on the corner? Yeah. And then 10 guys later, hey, you know, that's a Palestinian guy. Oh yeah, well let's get him. Oh, well, I was just talking donuts with him. Well, let's beat him up anyway. What? Yeah. And I'm sure it would happen. I am sure it would happen because
Yeah.
that's the mob mentality.
Yeah, mob
Yes.
mentality.
Yeah.
And that hatred
Mhm.
is so deep. It's been inbred into them, so yeah. And it's not their fault, in a sense, right? Because they were manipulated into that generations ago. Their parents were, and their parents were, so it
Yeah.
comes back to the leaders, it's an agenda. Like we're just all being set up, that's what it is.
Mhm.
Well, the problem is, and I I don't know much, but I do. Can we? It's in their system, like you said. They've been doing it for hundreds of years. They've think that this land is their land, and that land is this land, and this person hates that tribe, and so forth and so on. How do you get that out of people? Like here in America, we don't have that problem because uh,
Well,
we're,
actually,
we're all together. There's every race, creed, and color here.
if you go back a little bit, didn't the white man come here and kind of take over the land?
They did.
Mhm.
What happened here?
Yeah.
Mhm.
If
Yeah,
you
and
Remember
then-
something about
get
that.
technical here.
Well,
That's
more.
basically
You
what.
guys are so you're manipulating the truth. Unfortunately, there were good people everywhere. There are good Palestinians that lived with the Jewish Israelites. They lived in peace together. But then of course the governments got involved and push. They want land and power and things. Same with the
Yeah.
white people. You were just reading about Roger Williams and how he worked with the Native Americans and how he lived in peace. And of course he was hated by the Puritans. But again, there are good people. But again, the good people get crushed by the power mongers.
Yeah.
So that's
Mhm.
what our job is, the good people, not to incite the fear, but to figure out how can we get the good people together to stand up together. The fear is
Mhm.
going to kill us all. As long as you're afraid of all this stuff, it's going to create more and more fear and empower the bad guys to go, oh yeah, the bad guys, it's not the best way, but at least we'll get rid of the bad guys.
Yeah,
War. There
it's
is no good
also
war. It's all
no, there
about
is not.
killing.
It's also important to have an accurate idea of what's really going on, and most people understand this from a two-dimensional perspective, like a binary Israelite versus Palestinian thing, but it's not. It also goes into the rather complicated relationship that the Arabs have among themselves, especially with the Palestinians. They don't exactly like the Palestinians because
You
if they
got it right
did,
there. That's the truth right there.
if they did, they would allow them to move in to their
Yes.
country because like 99% of all the Palestinians just want to move out. They don't want to be in Palestine. They'd rather move out. And what happens if everybody moves out? Well, then just Israel swoops in and you have peace forever, pretty
There you
much.
go.
But Egyptians don't like Palestinians. That's why all these refugee camps still exist 75 years later in places like Jordan. Jordan has like a refugee camp with over 1 million Palestinians in it. Uh, and Egypt's not having any of it. That's why, they have refugee camps inside the Gaza Strip itself. So, it's a much more complicated situation than just a binary Israel versus Palestine thing. You also got the US involved, as I pointed out, because if it wasn't for the money and the constant influx of weapons from the United States, this thing would have been ended years ago.
That's it. That's right. It's not the Palestinians. It's the money supporting the armed conflict.
Mhm.
The Palestinians aren't being armed. Hamas isn't all Palestinians. It's Iran,
Yeah.
Iraq,
Also, about 30%
Jordan.
of 30% of all the Palestinians are Christians.
Right there. That's another thing. Yes.
It's another dynamic. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the truth. It's much more complicated than the news allows us to see. And when you get more into it, it gets so confusing. And so even all the facts, you get all the facts together, it still doesn't make a lot of sense because, again, we're reading from another point of view.
And there's also conflicts within Judaism itself or within Israel itself. Don't forget that there's not just one type of Judaism. There's like Reform Judaism, Judaism. There's the Haredim, which are like the Hasidics, and these are the traditional Jewish faiths or sects like the Haredim are opposed to the policies of the Israeli government. They don't
Yes.
want any war. They don't even serve in the army.
Yes.
I
That's
enjoy
true
the
right there.
mental fallacies too, like the gays for Jews, or sorry, gays for Palestine. If they went to Palestine, they'd be strung up in the streets. Like
Well,
Palestinians don't appreciate the homosexual
not, yeah, well, they
lifestyle
don't.
on the
I'm sure
whole.
they don't. They probably don't, but there's
You know,
you don't have Sharia law practiced openly in the Palestinian areas. You
no.
got that only in places like Iraq, Syria.
Mhm.
Again, thanks to U.S. interventionism, and of course Saudi Arabia
Yeah.
and
There
Iran.
you go. That you're just speaking the truth right there.
Yep.
You
Hmm.
know,
It come,
it's far more complicated than we think.
Hmm.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to see the truth on the news, unfortunately. You need to see alternative places where they're actually the boots on the ground, or lived there, been there, talk to people,
Yeah, the
that kind
fact
of
that
thing.
yeah, the fact that nobody's allowing the Palestinians to leave, that's like your clue number one that there's nefarious factors at work. Because
Yeah.
what was the dominant overarching theme of any totalitarian regime, be it North Korea or Czechoslovakia? People weren't allowed to leave.
Well, I thought
Mm.
they were. I thought they did leave today. I thought they had a ceasefire so that the Palestinian civilians could leave the area.
No, that was only foreigners, like
Oh,
Americans, Canadians. Those were allowed to leave during
I
the
thought the
ceasefire.
Palestinians were allowed to leave.
No, no,
The civilians.
no, only those holding foreign passports.
Yeah,
Because
that's
all,
going to
all
be,
those all those border checkpoints are controlled by Israel, not by the Palestinians. It was the Israelis that made that decree.
yeah, they
Wow.
control everything. Did you know that? They control their power, their water,
Hmm.
everything. So
Yeah.
if they decide, oh, no, well, we're going to just turn it off, they can just kill them that way. Really. Shut
Yeah.
everything off. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
but the bad part is that we got these big governments giving them each side pretty much money and weapons. You know, you're funding one group and then you're funding the other group, and you're hoping that they don't go buy the weapons, or you give them the weapons and you say, well, this is for protecting yourself, and you don't
Well,
expect them to use it.
there's
Hmm.
another problem you're missing too. It's not governments; it's corporations. A lot of this is corporate run.
Yeah.
If you look more into it, like I said, it is ridiculous. Corporations run everything that we touch.
Yeah.
And corporations run governments. All governments are run by corporations,
Yeah.
except for Libya, but that ended pretty quickly.
Ultimately, it's always private corporations that make all the weapons of war.
That's where the money.
Yeah.
That's how they. War is profit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
They don't
Well,
care.
they make money on both sides, right? It doesn't matter because they're funding both sides, and that's
And
the problem.
Once the weapons are done, you got the medicine. Make money from the medicine. So it's all circular.
Or
And of course,
rebuilding
money is based
everything.
off nothing.
Somebody was saying on the internet that they wanted to put a canal through, and it went right through Gaza. And this is a good way to get rid of all the people there so they can put this canal through.
Ah, there you go.
And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, doesn't that remind you of a place called Lahaina?
Yeah, it's burning out the 15-minute cities again.
Yeah.
Well, Kelowna
Yeah.
out here.
Yeah.
Turns out
Yeah.
Kelowna as well. Acapulco, that was just hit by that hurricane. Okay.
Yep.
Also slated for the same thing. So it's very obvious of what they're doing.
Did
know?
you see the helicopter video where there were places that were like decimated, and next door there were buildings that were perfect?
Hmm.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And then Joe was just on the news. That was boom. Wow,
Yeah,
wow,
there's
wow.
still something to the blue roofs too.
Oh, that
Yeah.
was in
The houses
Hawaii.
with the blue
Yeah.
roofs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was just,
Hmm.
how can you have a grass fire going through the thing, but yet the trees are still standing there? I mean, come on now. I mean, like,
Hmm.
yeah.
A little too
Yeah.
obvious.
Yeah, there's obvious.
is, right?
That's
the thing.
There's a YouTube channel called Tech Ingredients where they pretty much prove that yes, the technology does exist to have space-based weapons that are
Mhm.
targeting specific areas for incineration.
Yeah, and you
Yes.
can't see that coming. There's no
Mhm.
so those video footage of these blue beams and all that's all fake. Okay, because it has
Mhm.
no color or nothing. You can't see it.
Yeah, it's a microwave beam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's invisible,
Mhm.
just like your Wi-Fi is. Yeah, exactly. So
Mhm.
that's the thing. There's a lot of misinformation online, obviously. So it's very hard to kind of sit there and decipher it all. But I
And
guess
you could
that's what
actually
we're doing.
get more power and more specific directional capabilities of whatever beam was being used by using not satellites, but just a really high flying airplane.
The Chinese satellites were over the area at the time.
Oh,
So
really?
they suspect there was 2 or 3 Chinese satellites that were right above Lahaina at the time of the fire starting. So the timing was perfect. The weight of the satellites are proportional to energy weapon, so it's likely they used it. They like it was also, don't forget that BlackRock was taking care of the power systems in that area too, and they hadn't trimmed any of the trees for about 3 to 5 years. So they have multiple stories to go with, to cover up. So yeah,
Seems like the problem isn't just big government, but just like Lucky Stone pointed out, big corporation or big business. But then you also get like big religion, big pharma,
Mhm.
well,
big
yeah,
money.
who has the money
In
to
other
increase the
words,
storm?
anything big is usually bad.
Well, that was going to answer to the first question you asked today, Robert. Like religion. I mean, before religion, there was no war. I do believe, we didn't start with war until religion came in.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of wars have been religious. As a matter of fact, the deadliest war in human history was a religious war, and that was the 100 Years' War, which lasted 100 years here in Europe, where in some places it exterminated up to half the population. In some
Yeah.
areas of like Germany and France, it was unbelievable. Then another really bad war was the 30 Years' War that also killed way more people as a percentage of the population than World War II did.
Mm.
So this is what's been keeping the population down, a lot of these wars and the fact that childbirth, 50% of women would die. So that's half of you, or you and your friend, between you and your friend, one of you is going to die. That kept
Hmm.
the population down. We don't have that now. Prices starting
Yeah.
to explode a little bit. Yeah. A
Yeah.
lot of old people.
Do you know how World War One started?
Nobody knows.
It's a family dispute. It's all it was a family dispute. They were all related. The German leader, Chancellor, he was
Yeah,
in England, in Russia. They were all related. They were all cousins. It was a
yeah.
family
All the
war.
royal families are all cousins and
Yeah.
related.
And they
And they were
all probably made money, right, on that whole thing.
well, except for Germany was destroyed, and that's what caused World War II because Germany was so decimated that it just gave Adolf Hitler the power to people who says, yes, we're dying, help
Hmm.
us.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it just gave it, and
Yeah.
then we need somebody to blame. We need somebody, okay. And that's when we had the Jews, which is another
Hmm.
thing that's the World War II. And the Jewish
Yeah.
religion itself is another very difficult thing to get through where there's the Jewish blood isn't really rampant in Israel. Let's just say it like that. I don't want to get too much
Yeah,
into
I've
it,
heard
but
Hmm.
some stuff about
There's
that
a
too.
beautiful city called Astana in Kazakhstan that most of the Jews could go and live in. Just
Hmm.
saying. You
Mm.
know?
It's interesting that Astana in the local language means gate, gateway, right? Or
Uh,
threshold. That's what it means. But there's another city that also whose name means threshold, and that's Prague,
Mm.
Oh,
the
mm,
capital of Czech Republic. Yeah.
really?
mm,
A lot of things boil down to the Czech Republic. You
Yeah.
know,
It's interesting from a Czech perspective
it's that
because we're
check mark.
literally a check mark. That's where it comes
Yeah.
from. Because we're literally at the center of Europe. If you look at it geographically and culturally, we're a mixture of all the cultures that surround us. We're linguistically, culturally, and genetically the average, or I would say, an anthology of all that surrounds us.
Yeah. Do you guys have a lot to do?
Almost
Does your
unified.
history have a lot to do with weights and measures?
No, no,
No?
no. We didn't have our own unique weights. We never did.
Okay.
We just used whatever was prevalent,
Okay.
which was yeah.
Interesting. Well, in respect of all of that, will there be peace? Can there be peace? And is that the most important thing to focus on? Can there be peace, or should we be focusing on something else
I think
so that
that
people can live together in harmony? Not, because obviously everybody's gonna fight sooner or later.
no. I think
said
we have
people-
I
If
think we
you're
have a
living in
realistic shot at it. Definitely.
Sorry.
Sorry. Mm.
I was just gonna say, if you're living in constant stress like that of the place bombing and all, there's nothing else you can think about. There's nothing else important than to have peace. We all deserve that. Why it's easy for us to sit there, whatever, discuss this, that, and the other thing, because we're sitting there all safe and sound. There's no bombs coming here. We never have had that on American soil, North American soil. Yet, as of yet, that's very true. And that's what we're trying to avoid here. So I don't know. I'm hoping for peace for sure. I mean, without peace, there's nothing else matters.
I say on a day-to-day level, most people do have peace.
Most of us do, yeah.
On a personal level. When we get up to the governmental level, the corporate level, the royal level, then we get into the troubles. So, it's not really the common man that's the problem. It's these other entities.
Yes.
We've been pointing it out for years, We want peace. Well, I think somebody has to go, because they get in the way of peace. I don't walk out the door in the morning and go, okay, who am I going to war with today and what am I going to take from them? We don't do that. But that's what our governments do. That's what these oligarchs and businesses do. That's exactly what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I think we do have a real shot at this because with the advent of the internet, we have better communication across all geographic areas, which leads to a better understanding of the other people, which also leads to a better understanding of the situation. So I think more people are going to be cognizant of the need for peace. Even though most people have never experienced the war, I'm probably the only person here who was born during a war-type conflict. I was born during the Soviet invasion of Czechoslovakia in 1968. So I was born during a martial law lockdown. So it's kind of more in me to constantly be obsessed about this sort of thing and never see it happen again. Because don't forget where I'm from. My parents didn't experience war before that, but my grandparents did. They went through World War II, and their parents before that went through World War I. So for a continent that's constantly at war, that's why we invented things like the European Union, to prevent things like war, which was originally a good idea, but just instituted another layer of bullshit bureaucracy above our existing layer of bureaucracy known as government.
That's the problem. Is when government gets involved, they screw everything up. They come to fix a problem, and they somehow make it worse.
Yeah.
It's the thing is, it's the same people. That's the problem. It's the same people, but they're just shifting from one coat to another.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
We got to go higher up. That's the thing. We got to go higher up and get the curtain. The guy behind the curtain, the one that's pulling all the strings. That guy.
Yeah.
That's the guy we got to get. Not those politicians or just we can replace Trudeau, but it's going to be some other stupid stuff. Next thing, right?
It's who's behind Trudeau. That's the problem.
Right.
It's
We need
always
to go behind all of the political parties, right? Because they don't care who wins. Coke, Pepsi, it don't matter. They own it all. Okay. Same with the political stuff, war, everything. They own everything. That's the problem, right? We're just pawns in a little puzzle game that they got going on. Yep.
Maybe we need to just take it back, strip them of their ill-gotten gains. Put them
I
on an
would say
island
I would
and
suggest
let them fight
getting
each
rid.
other.
I would suggest getting rid of the institution of head of state because that's a very
Yeah.
tribal and very primitive kind of thing. Under no circumstances should one person have the ability to make that huge
Yeah.
decision of whether they go to war or not, because that's ultimately we're all fallible. So how can
Yeah.
this ever be? It's also the
Mm.
problem of collusion, because as somebody correctly pointed out before, like World War One was probably caused by the fact that they were all related, i.e., they colluded on some level. And
Mhm.
nowadays you have collusion through things like Bohemian Grove, right? Bohemia being a
Mhm.
region of Czech Republic, I should point out. Bohemian Grove, you got the Freemasons, the Bilderbergs, uh, all these secret societies are in on it. And all these secret societies include world leaders like Knights of Malta. That's another one to look into.
But
Mhm.
that's the problem. There's
Yeah,
information about those. It's the ones we don't know are the real problem.
true.
There are
True.
the
It's
ones that we
yeah.
know nothing about, which is
Hmm.
probably run in Czechoslovakia for all we know.
Yeah,
You
they're
could probably
probably
be.
Never
in
know.
the Czech Republic.
Hmm. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's
Because it's
quiet.
it's
Yeah.
interesting that under communism, Freemasonry was forbidden. Once communism ended in all of Eastern Europe, that's when Freemasonry started coming back. And you also have had the return of things that existed before communism, like the Boy Scouts, the YMCA, things like that. So it would be interesting to look into which international organizations appeared in the Eastern Bloc after the fall of communism. There's your clue right there.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I got a big question for you. Um, weapons of war. Like, we have all these new weapons, especially, we'll just say nuclear bombs. They're big, massive destruction things, yet nobody's used nuclear weapons except the United States. Uh, we have other massive weapons. Somebody had mentioned F-16s. That was Pamela Jean. And F-35s, these fancy new jets that can do all kinds of things. And there's the Iron Dome and all these weapons. Does that make peace or does that make war?
Well, nowadays they're using information as a weapon because the first thing to die out in war is the truth. And most of what we see in the news is weaponized information where
Mhm.
99% of it is true, but it's presented with such a spin as to make your conclusions from it absolutely false.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yep. Yeah, the media is a weapon. That's a
Hmm.
huge weapon that they're using.
Yeah,
The school system is another one. They're indoctrinating your children. We all
yeah.
were indoctrinated. And now you got to try and, unindoctrinate yourselves, and that's what's, yeah,
But
it's,
does these weapons make war easier or promote more peace? Like, I got a nuclear weapon, don't fight me. I got what are those knock'em sock'ems or whatever they got?
Moab.
Yeah, and they have all these different cruise missiles and don't mess with me or I'll shoot a cruise missile at you, kind of thing. So the other guy says, well, I guess I won't. So does that promote peace or to the point where we get so
Well,
many of these weapons, eventually somebody pushes the button and we all die?
it's
that's
also there's
yeah.
also sanctions. The economic sanctions kill way more people than the war itself. Like look at what happened in Iraq, where they killed over 1 million children. And they even asked Madeleine Albright about it if she was down with that, and she said, "Yeah, we think the price is worth it." Well, and that was just economic sanctions. That's basically just words on a piece of paper that killed 1 million children.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they just don't give an F, right? They're
Yeah.
psychopaths,
Yeah.
uh, yeah. And they're in charge. It's like,
Hmm.
what the hell? Why are we letting these psychopaths be in charge? And that's the thing. So it really boils down to us, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
enabling these people to do it, and by not doing anything about it as well, being complacent, we're kind of giving our consent,
Hmm.
essentially. And
Yeah.
so
And
that's so, we need to be mad. We need to do something about it and stand up and not let them do this anymore. You
And
know.
don't forget Madeleine Albright. She was born in Czech Republic. She was Czech and she spoke it. And I had the unfortunate, dubious luck of actually having met her once.
Oh,
Not
wow.
a very pleasant person. No. Mm-mm.
Well, Nina, I want to answer your question about the psychopaths.
Mm.
Now, I think we've all met somebody who's been a little bit crazy at some point or another. You know, that psychopathic lady, that psycho guy, or something like that. He's acting a little weird, and we all go, "Oh, okay, whatever you want, buddy." You know, hey, he's doing some little strange stuff over there. Boy, he's
Well,
making a ruckus. And then we all just back away because he's a little bit different. And we say, whatever you want, buddy. We'll just leave you alone and let you do your thing. And oh, you want us to all move out of the room? Okay, and we do, because he's a little crazy. But is that not what we're complying with these leaders we have that are psychopaths? Hey, he wants to go to war. Well, he wants to shoot off some nuclear weapons. And then we all shrug our shoulders and go, well, if we don't let him do what he wants, he's going to make life rough for us. So we'll just step back and let him go.
but it's the fact
I'm
that
sure
they have the
people
power to make
around
that
him
decision in the
probably
first
do.
place.
Yeah. I don't think it's so much us that feel that way, but it's more the people probably around him that think that if they say anything, they're going to lose their position. You know what I mean? So yeah, they have
Influence
skin
of
in the
money.
game there. You know?
And also, birds of a feather tend to flock together. And so
Yeah.
these people like Stalin or whatever had a whole coterie of psychopaths around him, like Beria, who was obviously mental, just like Stalin himself. So, and then they were trying to kiss up to him to see who could out psycho the main psycho. And what I've been saying is no, there shouldn't be any leader that has that ultimate power of life and death like that. No, under no
I know.
circumstances. That's a tribal remnant.
So imagine if we get one world government. We got one guy deciding the
No.
fate of everyone. Can you imagine? And then they're colluding with the one world religion that's going to come up.
No.
Well,
And then,
yeah, I was watching a video today about how the Chinese killed the sparrow. Chinese or Japanese killed all these sparrows because it was causing problems for them. And they found that when they killed the sparrow, they had a whole bunch of other problems that
Insect
came along.
problems.
Yeah,
Insect.
mosquitoes and whatever. Yeah.
yeah.
That's the thing.
The grasshoppers, and
Danger,
it was the
man.
grasshoppers and the locust that took over.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can't mess with nature. No.
no.
Yeah, you got to have the yin and the yang of everything. You can't
Yeah.
have too much good,
Everything
and you
has
can't
its
have too
purpose.
much bad.
But it's
Even
the
that
space of these
mosquito,
unilateral decisions. Like, imagine if that was implemented worldwide and we had destroyed all the sparrows everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, they were able to get some from Russia that adapted and started taking over that job. But if we had done that worldwide, from a worldwide decision, that would be it. Bang. We'd be overrun by locusts from now on.
I
Isn't
would say
that a
that
biblical thing, actually? Is something
Yeah.
about a plague of
Yeah,
locusts?
it is.
So maybe that's what happened. They killed the fucking sparrow, and that's why we got, Yeah.
I would say that
mean,
on the world stage, I would say that the United States is that psychopath, and all these like
Yeah.
little countries like Germany, England, and everybody's trying to kiss up to the main psychopath.
Yeah, it goes. Yes, I see that too. Yeah.
Regrettably, yeah. Even though
Okay,
Americans are
so the
wonderful
other world
people.
leaders won't say anything because they don't want to lose their position, and that's what it comes down to, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
All the
So-
way, I guess, down to us eventually. But
yeah.
we
Um,
most of us are, we don't really know what's going on. So
I would say most Americans are very nice people, very decent people, and
yeah,
I'll always defend them. But the only thing at this point that you could do is willful non-participation in the system, which would be do not go into the military, do not go into the police, do not go into government, do not vote.
if we
Because
all stop paying taxes, there's
do not pay
that's
taxes.
the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, because by voting,
Band
that's
together, that's the thing.
that puts a paper trail where they can identify you as a voter for one or the other party, and if like push comes to shove, you're on somebody else's shit list. They can pull
Yeah.
up those records and say, "Oh, all these people voted against the current government. These are all traitors, okay, which comes
Yeah.
out to half the population or whatever.
So just don't vote at all, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Don't
Don't
vote.
participate in the
Don't pay your
system.
taxes. Get
Yeah,
out of the banking system, right? Get self-sufficient, right? What are they going to do?
yeah,
They can't kill us all, right? So
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I mean, nobody in my family has ever served in any man's army. Uh, Nobody in my family has ever voted
yeah,
because
nobody served
voting
in
is
the
just the
military in mine either, which is
voting
weird.
is yeah, voting is just weird, weird because it's a way to like defer blame onto other people. It's like, well, you know, the roads should be fixed, but I don't want to pay those taxes. I'll vote for having him pay those taxes, you know, or her pay those taxes.
Did you know in Norway it's mandatory to go through basic training for guys when you're 18? So
Yeah.
every guy has to take a year off and do the basic training in the military, you know, and get trained up.
In
Well,
Czech Republic as well, yeah.
isn't
But for
Norway
some
every?
reason, my dad nor my grandfather never did.
Hmm.
I
But
never did
Same
ask my
with my,
grand.
doesn't
same with,
every house have a gun in Norway?
Well, yeah, most people hunt and stuff, right? So there's, you know, hunting and stuff. Yeah, but it's not. There's never been a problem with
Well, no,
guns
that's the
on the
thing.
street or anything like that.
It
Yeah.
that would every. I heard that every house has a gun. That way, if everyone is armed, you know, it kind of takes the impetus away from, you know, the criminals, because
I
that's
know,
the
but
funny thing.
we didn't have any fighting. Like the only time that I remember we started getting some knife fighting was when we got the foreigners in. They came with the knives and the whole that culture. Before that, there was only street fights. You know, there was no weapons at all. You know, and guns. Yeah, we may have had guns at home, but they were never brought into the street or into fighting or anything like that.
But you're
So
losing what I'm trying to say is that if everyone has a gun, then there's no real power to having a gun and robbing people, because you don't know who else has a gun. That's the problem with the United States, is that the gun-free zones are the ones that are great targets.
Mhm.
right.
The controlling of the guns, you know who doesn't have a gun, which is most people, because concealed carry is illegal. So the criminals can have their guns and do what they want. So, you know, that's the thing, is Norway, every house is armed, so it's kind of hard to rob a
I
house.
wouldn't say every house. Like I never had a gun, but my dad didn't
Well,
have a gun.
you're a Canada.
No,
You're a
we didn't
Canadian.
have guns.
You're in
So my
Canada.
family didn't have guns. But
Well,
my dad didn't hunt either, though. We were in the city folks.
in Czech
Country
Republic,
folk don't have a gun.
in Czech
Yeah.
Republic, almost everybody has a gun, because you're allowed to buy a gun using just a 22, using just your ID. For anything higher than a 22, you need a weapons permit, which is very easy to come by. And like I said, most people have a gun, and you can actually buy a gun at a gas station, ironically enough.
Wow.
But could you actually use it to rob that gas station? Probably not, because concealed carry is the law. You can't open carry in Czech Republic, so you literally don't know who's got the gun and who doesn't have a gun.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the best thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the biggest deterrent. You don't know who has a gun and who doesn't. Who, you know, by
Mhm.
limiting guns, it kind of puts the power into the criminals who, you know, then their guns aren't registered. You know, there's so many guns out there that are not registered,
Yeah.
so that when you limit the guns, it makes it easier for the criminals.
Yeah, and in response to what one of the commenters said, you know, if you don't pay up your taxes or whatever, they'll close your bank accounts. Well, they can't do that if your bank account is in a foreign country. I mean, the United States goes out of its way to make you file Schedule D and all this stuff if you have a foreign bank account, but that's all the more reasons why you want one and use it. I mean, I have accounts all over Europe and the United States specifically for that purpose, so that no single national government can shut me down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Makes good sense.
Yeah, and multiple currencies. In the United States, you're only allowed one currency. That's the US dollar. Over here, like multiple currency accounts are common.
Mm. Well, and people make a big mistake here, even in the States, of putting their money in one bank.
Hmm.
And, you know, it's like, okay, I put my money in one bank, but, you know, is that a trustworthy bank? What if it goes out of business? shouldn't you divide your money up a little bit? I mean, maybe we don't have many currencies, or we don't bank outside of the country, but divide up your money and put it in several different banks. Banks could close. That they were talking about Citizens Bank going out, and there was 3 or 4 other different banks that closed. And what if you were one of them and it closed and you're up the creek? All your money is gone tomorrow. Done.
That was exactly my logic. Where for 4 years I was living off interest, and it was never from just one bank. I wasn't stupid in one country, because I know from the experiences of my friends who had money in banks that went bankrupt. It took them like up to 6 years to get their money back, even if it was insured. So, what if that bank happens to not be insured and not tell you that they're not insured? That's why you want to divide it up between like 20 different banks in 20 different countries, if at all possible.
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
So that's how I was able to pull that off.
Well, that's a good plan. That's definitely a good plan. People here don't realize that stuff very much. I don't know. What about Canada? You guys in Canada have one bank, one currency.
Well, we got tons of banks. I personally go with the credit union myself, but
all the banks are under one conglomeration, though, the Bank of Canada. So they just debank you. They just call up the bank and say, "Hey, debank this person," and they'll just find all your accounts and debank you. Yeah. So one or two won't make a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, you saw how fast he did that back in February there.
Yeah,
that's why keep money on hand and keep gold and silver available, guys.
Yeah, keep cash. Only keep what you need in the bank to pay the bills. Everything else you take out in cash, right?
Yeah.
Keep that at home. Yeah.
Buy assets, buy food, buy storable goods, buy stuff you can trade.
Water first.
I really wouldn't hold cash though. I mean, coins. Metal coins have value.
If you got a lot of cash, get some coins, right?
I'm telling you, paper money. If things fall apart, paper money is paper. It's worthless. The coins are metal. A quarter is going to be always worth about a quarter. Pennies are worth more than a penny. So these things, if you're gonna have cash, it's gonna be heavy. It's gonna be ridiculous. But again, that's another thing. Is back when the big thing.
Well, just go and get silver and gold, right? So if you get gold, it's so expensive that it's not going to take up a lot of room. You know what I'm saying?
I can understand, but gold is artificially inflated, but silver is artificially low. Silver is underpriced.
Yeah, get silver. Get silver bars or whatever.
Silver. Silver is ridiculously underpriced. It's been that way for decades.
Gold is over.
Yeah.
Silver is the one to take.
Silver, I did the math on this back when I was a bank director. Me and my team did a couple of calculations where we figured out that the actual value of a bar of silver should have been back in 2009 about $550 an ounce. That's the actual value that it would have been at had there not been massive naked shorting and other market manipulation, especially by the bullion banks like Bear Stearns, Smith Barney, all these huge bullion bank companies, as well as the exchanges themselves.
Well, is it true? I heard the other day that Bank of America is short 1 billion ounces. I said with a B, 1 billion ounces of silver that they
underreporting.
Yeah, they're short a billion. How do you make that
missing? Yes. Just like the millions that were missing the day before 9/11 that nobody talked about afterwards, right? Missing. Oh, we don't know where it is. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, 2009 is also when they instituted where settlement of like futures contract didn't have the option of physical settlement. Where for all the other commodities, like, I don't know, corn or beef or orange juice or whatever, you could take physical delivery. But they canceled that in 2009, where if you buy a futures contract, you let it go to term, and you want to cash it out and buy that commodity, the underlying commodity, you can't do that anymore. You only get a warehouse receipt that says, like, trust us, we have your silver, we have your gold,
Yeah, there's a lot of companies trying to buy out people's 401ks for silver certificates. I'd be very
Oh,
wary
I
of
wouldn't
that.
do that. I would get the physical in my hand for
But at the
sure.
moment, I
Yeah.
am keeping cash in case I get debanked because silver, although I can use it for money, I still have to have it traded in to use for cash.
You
So
got
I
it.
would
Yeah.
suggest keeping cash in case you get debanked and cash is still viable. So I
Yeah.
keep a mix of everything on hand. So I've got gold, some silver, and cash and commodities. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Commodities is the most important, guys. If you haven't started, you better get out there now. If
yeah,
you got
get some
any
tradable
cash,
food, booze,
yeah,
tobacco. Those things are
anything like that.
tradable.
Yeah.
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 This is
Extra
so
clothes, you
this is
know.
this is so true. When I went out to Montana a few years back. It was 2018, and I went on a big long horse ride out into the wilderness, out to Big Salmon Lake, 20 miles out in the middle of nowhere in the Rocky Mountains. And I came across some guys fishing, and boy, did I want some fish, even though I didn't know how to catch a fish, for the life of me. We're riding our horses, and these guys caught so much fish, and they were like, hey, buddy, yeah, oh, you got any alcohol? We'll trade you all these fish for some alcohol. If I would have had a little bottle of booze,
Yeah.
I could have had all those fish. I'd have been eating good all night long. But instead, I didn't. And I learned there that, probably booze, coffee, liquor, or,
Cigarettes,
cigarettes, things like that
any
are going to be
addiction, right?
very big trading commodities. So think ahead, people. Next time I go camping out in the mountains, I'm bringing a bottle of something. I don't care what it is, because I don't think they would have cared either.
No.
Well,
Yeah.
vodka's good because it's a lot of hit for the limited size.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Alcool. There's alcool, or that's 98%.
It's not
Yeah,
legal
most-
in my state. That's the highest thing percentage is vodka. In gin,
yeah, we
but
get
gin
we get
is
alcool up
pretty
here.
good.
Murder on your. Don't ever drink it straight. Murder.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Murder,
Here
death,
in-
kill, definitely.
And here in Europe, you can actually buy 97% pure alcohol, and it's only about €2 a liter. And that's you can
Wow.
drink it, but you have to dilute it like 2 to 1, 3 to 1.
Oh
But
yeah.
it's better because you can use it to start a fire. You can use it to disinfect wounds, disinfect food. It's got so many different uses. It's also an industrial solvent. So
Don't
yeah,
leave it open either, or it'll evaporate
course,
very quickly.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of a good prepping kind of thing to have, actually.
Yeah.
Multi-use, I remember when I lived in Norway, we used to buy moonshine, and that was like 98%. And what we did was mix it, with water and then dilute it down, and got some like vodka essence or like different liqueur things, and just make our own booze because it was so expensive over there.
It
But
is
yeah.
expensive. Yeah. All the Scandinavian countries I've been there, it's
Oh, yeah.
ridiculously expensive.
It is.
Any kind of
Yeah.
alcohol.
So
But,
same as cigarettes, we would roll our own, we can afford the tailor mades, so
mhm.
I can't even imagine what it is nowadays. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculously expensive. But if you buy like a silver coin like this one, this is a 1 florin piece from 1860. You can still pick these up for about €25, on eBay.
Yeah.
And it looks like it was minted yesterday. This
Well,
one's in
even
really
the
good
regular
condition.
silver at the bull place, it's cheap for silver,
Oh yeah, yeah.
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 I don't care what it costs because as long as it's not $550 an ounce, you're still buying it below the price.
Yeah. Even with like I pay dealer fees for my silver. Even with the dealer fees, I don't care
Yeah.
because
It's
my
still
money's
cheap.
not going to be worth anything, and I know that silver is severely undervalued.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and here we can get. I'll show you. We got some nice ones up here.
Mhm.
But we have diverted from the original subject. We've gone from peace to prepping.
Yeah, this is true. This is
If,
true.
well, if more people were
But that gives us
preppers,
Really
peace,
like
though. It
these
gives us
ones.
peace of mind knowing that you have a little bit of food
These
stashed
are
away.
10-ounce
That
bars.
you know,
nice.
so
Yeah, I got those. I
yeah,
got some
yeah.
TD Bank. Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
cool pattern on the back, kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those are
Yeah.
tradable,
Mhm.
Right now I'm losing money on them. I bought these when they were 34 and I pay a fee, but they're really nice.
Well, you got to look at the long run,
Yeah.
Good
right?
little,
It's not a
yeah,
short-term investment; it's a long-term. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm. Yep.
little tradable
Yeah.
things. And of course I have coins.
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
Good
Nice.
deal. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
But see, that's the stuff that when you feel secure, well, getting back to the peace thing,
Yeah.
you feel at peace. If there's people rioting in the streets, they're not at peace. They're rioting because they don't have food. They don't have a job. They don't have money. They
Mhm.
they feel threatened. They don't have power in their house. So they're at their last straw. They're going to riot. They're going to war. You're at peace. You have things. You have gold or silver. You have food in your house. You feel secure. You're not going to go out there and riot like the other people.
Well,
But why
So-
is that?
that depends. That depends because, like, you can also go riding if you feel discriminated against, like what we saw all over Europe with the anti-COVID riots,
Mhm.
where
Yeah, I
you
felt
had
like riding
vast
then.
swaths of the population who were discriminated against because we weren't vaccinated.
So
It's
where's the common denominator of all this? All the rioting. What's the common denominator?
Deprivation of liberty.
Yeah.
Some sort of deprivation of liberty.
No. It's all down to one thing. One thing is what's all this is about. It's fear. Fear of
Ooh.
lack. Fear
Mhm.
of others.
Mhm.
Fear of
Yeah.
the government. It's all about fear. And that's what peace is. Peace is the lack of fear.
Wow, that's a good one.
I've
That is
been
a good
sitting
one,
on
yeah.
that this whole show.
Mhm.
And the trick to have that peace is by prepping and knowing and having a peace of mind, knowing that even though hits the fan.
But prepping doesn't give you everything. The one thing that gives you everything is foraging. If you can forage, it doesn't matter how much you prep because you have to get out of the house. Let's just say you prepped everything and your house burns down, then you got nothing. But if you know what mushrooms to eat,
Knowledge.
yeah,
Yeah. So
I
going,
know that most of my back lawn is edible.
Mhm.
But anyone
Mhm.
looks at my back lawn, oh, that's a mess. That's ridiculous. Drives my wife crazy with my back lawn because our front lawn is beautiful manicured. Our back lawn is jungle, and she gets mad at me. But I'm like, we can eat that, we can eat that, we can eat that. We can't eat that because that'll get you high, but that's still marketable.
Well, I live in the inner city and I have like practically
You're
no
ready
front
to
yard,
grow
but
your own food.
I have a backyard with 6 fruit trees. On that tiny lot, I have 6 fruit trees. That produces way. If I did canning, which I don't, or if I did some type of fruit preservation like jams, marmalades, or whatever, I could live off that all year if I had to.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there's so much available. I have a very small backyard, but I can keep. No one would know if they invaded my house and took all the prepping. I'd still have plenty. I got conservation land, which has got plenty of stuff to eat, but no one would know. I mean, pine trees. It's not great, but you can eat the pine needles if you know which pine trees to feed off of. The bark, you can eat the bark.
Yeah. So the moral to that story is that we need to inquire all that information, right? First.
Yeah.
So, learning how to, forage your backyard,
Well,
learning how to grow.
I have
and
I
then
have places to
prep
forage, but they'll be
right?
done quickly because of the population here.
Mhm.
So I have seeds and I
Bees.
have window gardens.
Yeah, but
I
but
just-
no,
Yeah.
but
I
that's
have-
the thing is there are forage things that people don't even know about because
Yeah.
they're not intelligent to
Learn that
know.
stuff.
There's
Yes.
so much that you can eat
Yes.
that no one knows is edible.
Yeah, dandelions are not only extremely
And get the
healthy.
hardcover books, people, because just in case the internet goes down, We might not have Mr. Google anymore. So have some books on canning, books on plant, different things, right? Know your region, what grows there, that kind of thing. What seeds are good, just starting to learn these kind of things, right?
Yeah,
Mountain
get
man
yourself a
skills.
book like this, Mountain Man Skills.
There you
That's
go.
a good one. That's a really good book.
Yeah,
Can't go wrong with that. There you go.
I
And
mean,
have a hard copy so that you can read it, even if the
Mhm.
power goes out,
I've
Because that's
got
one
that.
thing they're probably planning on doing is cyber attack. You keep saying, oh, the COVID, that's just going to be a minor disturbance compared to the cyber attack that's coming.
Mhm.
So,
But the
Yeah.
thing is that you're worried about the cyber attacks. We're worried about the sun with its that stupid electromagnetic thing where it's going to knock
Solar
out all
flares?
the satellites.
EMP.
Solar
yeah.
flare.
Solar flares. Solar flare will so with either AI will kill us or the solar flare will knock out all the computers. We can't
Yeah.
have both, but we're afraid of both.
Yeah.
So I think neither of them are actually going to happen because the computers are going to prevent the
Or
solar
there's
flare
a
from
war
getting-
too, there's that as well, We
And
want
when
to avoid
all
anything.
else fails, they always
Or
try
it
to.
could be another disease. Hey, it's good times all around either way.
When all else fails, they'll bring out the climate change thing.
Oh yes, and don't forget about the climate change,
Mm-hmm.
climate
Yeah.
crisis.
Beware the wrath of globe. Before it used to be the wrath of God, and now it's the wrath of Gaia.
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah,
And
and they
natural disasters. Yeah.
and the more natural disasters there is, it's worse. You guys ain't doing enough. It's getting worse.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, pretty soon it's going to be
Or-
our fault that the climate crisis, and so we need to eliminate the crisis.
For
We are
over
the
50 years, climate
We are that
scientists,
carbon.
governments, and businesses have been getting together every year for 50 years to take care of our climate, and they just claim things have gotten worse.
Right.
Mhm.
They're doing
Yeah,
it.
But what have you been
toxic
doing for
air
50
that we
years?
breathe, and everything.
It's all about
Yeah.
money. That's what the
Yeah.
carbon credits are
Well,
for.
yes,
It's a
everything
money-making
is all about
opportunity.
money.
Mhm.
I do believe Trudeau, didn't he just recently implement another carbon tax?
He repealed one, actually.
Okay, it was something about it. I didn't read too
Yeah,
much
he
into it,
repealed one
right?
for people out east so that he could get votes. And
Right.
people caught
That's
on to
it.
that.
It's
So
all about-
unfortunately in Canada, the climate narrative is just crumbling. Just
Mhm.
crumbling. People are starting to look into it because why are you using this for political gains if it's so important for us? And not only did he use it for political, he used it on the dirtiest fuel of all, oil, heating oil for houses. He
So
didn't give a rebate for natural gas or, coal with
Propane.
scrubbers or whatever, propane
Yeah.
or whatever, right? No. He gave a rebate for oil on people who weren't going to
Yeah,
vote for him.
you would think that they would be the first ones to propagate things like biodiesel or
Mhm.
bioalcohol, which is a renewable. But it actually, when you do the math, it costs more money to make a liter of biodiesel. It takes like 2 liters of biodiesel to make 1 liter of biodiesel. In other
Yeah.
words,
Oh man. So yeah, that one's falling apart, thankfully.
Mhm.
Yeah, happy about
Mhm.
that. Really happy.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I tell you what. Okay, let's do a roundabout.
11-11,
Everybody
11-11.
gets 11-11. Since it's 11-11,
Oh, it just
Gordon.
turned to 12.
Gordon, Michelle,
But
Mary
the
Ann
good
Free.
news, it's only 8:12 here, so it's another chance for us.
For you, yeah.
That's
on
right.
this time
That's
zone.
right.
Yeah,
Get
it's
another-
11:11 here.
Get another one. But anyway, we'll go around. Everybody, start with you, Lucky, and give us your piece to the world. What is it that we could do to make peace in the world? And
You
That's
can't
the-
make peace in the world. The thing is, you have to work in your individual life, neighborhood. Was it be the frequency you want to receive? It's all there. We go. There it is.
Yeah.
You have to be it. You have to go in your life. No matter what happens, no matter what kind of bullshit someone comes up to you with, you're to be fine, okay? It's my favorite thing. He's like, could you please repeat that? I didn't quite understand it. What did you mean by that? It don't give them the power. And if you don't give them the power individually, those bullies that are around you every day, the more it'll spread to the ones around you, go further and further. When you be the example of how to be, the right mindset. It's tough. It's challenging, especially when it's your boss, but it's doable.
That's right. That is so true. Max, what do you got?
I am the frequency I want to receive, so I'm very happy with my personal life. I think that is important to do that on a personal level, but I think it's also important to clear out the garbage, because we are being influenced. And non-compliance is one of the keys to achieving peace with the evil that's going on around there, but it's hard for people to decipher what's evil and what's good. Being propagated by me would be peace. Being propagated from above seems to be war. As soon as people realize that and stop complying, we're going to have peace.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Delbor?
Well, wars are started by governments. They're never started by individuals. On the other hand, peace begins with the individual human. It begins with me. So basically, on some level, you have to be at peace by being prepared for eventualities like things like prepping. But on the other hand, you can't be an ignition point. At some point, you do a little bit and say, whatever bullshit's out there, it ends with me. Whatever hatred, racism, whatever, it ends right here. It doesn't go past me. It doesn't go on. It ends here. It ends now. It ends here with me right now. So that's it.
That's it. Nina.
Hey, well, that was a lot of good comments there. I know I kind of agree. We gotta, show the world how to do it too. It's kind of like when you're raising kids. You can tell them till you're blue in the face, but they're not going to listen, right? If you're not doing what you're saying, like you kind of got to do what you know what I mean to model by doing it. And it starts with the community, people around you, obviously, and for me, prepping is huge. I've always been a prepper. Growing up in Europe post-war, we had that kind of drilled into us. Moving to the West Coast here, the whole earthquake thing it's always been a big thing. So it's sort of been part of my world for, my whole adult life, I would say. And so, having that inner peace that comes down to the spiritual stuff, so, spiritual hygiene, like all of these things, right, is going to help you, and then having some peace of mind with prepping. So
that is great. That is great. And now what I get out of all of this is that I want to say you just have to say no to all this stuff, people. That will create peace. Yeah. Don't listen to those corporations. Be the frequency you want to receive, and yet have no fear, because that's where it all starts, and you start to break down everything. It stops with you. Just do it. Yes, just do it. Prep a little. You'll have no fear. Prep a little bit. You will be the frequency you want to receive. Just say no to it all. And it starts with you, because the corporation says, get your butt and get a gun and head out to war. And if you say, no, that's not what I want, that's not my frequency.
And that's actually a very good point, because if they bring this draft out, what are they going to do if we all just said no? Not going. We're not doing it. We're not going there to get killed. No, it's not happening. And that's a good point, because that's what we need to do in all of this, because there's just a few of them. There's a lot of us. And if we all say no, it ain't happening.
Well, in order to have a war, you need warriors.
That's right. So just say no, we ain't going, Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my part of it. But I appreciate each and every one of you coming on here tonight. It's been great. Max, you got a show next?
Yeah, I'm up in 15 minutes.
All right. I
I'll be
put your
doing-
link in the chat there
Thank you.
for your show. Nina, you and me will be on tomorrow night.
That's right. Horns of the
Horns.
Goddess, episode 11. I'm just posting the link in my chat here.
Okay.
Yeah, so be there or be square.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm
Thank
going to bed.
Thank you.
5:11, 5:15 in the morning.
It's
Oh,
5
wow.
o'clock somewhere.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dalibor, for coming on tonight.
Yeah,
Love
thank
you,
you for that,
Pleasure.
Dalibor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for coming tonight. It's been a blast. I think you hit it off with that one big answer. That was it.
Not mine,
Yeah.
unfortunately. It's
Well-
I get voices in my head.
Well, you know what? Voices or not, I think all our thoughts come from somewhere, and it doesn't matter if you had all the voices in the world in your head. If you didn't speak it, it wouldn't
You know what?
become
You guys
manifest.
gotta go and watch Ryder's show that he did earlier today, because that's what the show is all about, voices in your head. And it's actually really good. It's almost 2 hours long, but you got to see it. You got to watch that. Sure. Sorry.
Oh, absolutely. Ryder's a great guy. He puts on some really good shows. He's done a few with Wayne lately and some other guys. Oh man, he even did a movie, that documentary. So good for Ryder. He's awesome.
Fascinating.
Started from nothing and he just through the rough.
Yeah.
So good for him. Ryder, if you're out there listening to this, thumbs up for you. Anyway, thank you for everybody who came tonight. We got Scotty Boy, Pamela Jean, Elderberry, Mary Wins, Musgrave Griffin, Jeannie, and Emperor Rex. We got Shiel, I don't know, Grace,
Grandpa Brian was on.
Grandpa Brian, Joe Sapien. Oh man, we had people in here.
Danny Staten was there. Danny Staten's one of my followers.
Oh yeah, that was way up there. Yep, I see. Suzanne Zashi's is in the house playing her music, I'm sure. Courtney was in the house too. She just got done and finished a 5-hour class. Don't forget to go check her channel out. She's got some great Edgar Casey stuff and a lot of
Very
classes you
stuff.
can take to expand your mind. And Courtney will be on the 25th along with Lucky. We're going to be doing our Thanksgiving holiday special with the two pilgrims that couldn't get along in the past who have joined and are doing their thing now in peace and harmony. Isn't that kind of how it went? I don't even know, but it's all good. It's all good.
Oh,
But
I
we're gonna-
know, and unfortunately, we can't get into that now. Definitely not.
No. We went through it last year. You guys can check up if you don't know what we're talking about. You can check last year's Thanksgiving show that we had, and it was all documented on there. It's really funny and it's good, and it was a good thing. Anyway, go check out Max Vision's class next. Improve your mind, even if you don't have one of those mirror. What's that thing called, Delbor? You remember the name of that?
Near-death experience?
No, the mirror thing.
Oh, Kazurev mirror.
The
The
Kazarek.
devil something.
No, it's
I-
different.
I got a book, guys.
It's a whole
Much
different
love.
thing.
Okay, see you, Max. Later.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, the Kazarek mirror. If you don't have one of them, well,
Mhm.
you go check it out, people. Go check it out. It's a great thing. Help you do your.
Fascinating stuff. Yeah.
The Live Files is a very fascinating show.
Yeah. We're gonna have a show on that mirror thing as soon as I do a little study on it. But that's fascinating, and I think, man, I'd like to get one of those. I'm pretty handy. I probably can make one. I know a few people.
Need space too.
Yes, I'm moving. So
Oh,
new
really?
house, new place, bigger
Ooh.
space.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to build a wooden pyramid, like a big one, like about 3 meters high, so that I can stand inside of it and do experiments like that. Because
That'd
I've
be
done
cool.
experiments in the past using smaller models made of cardboard aligned to true north, and I've demonstrated that it does have an effect on physical constants that are detectable. it's a small effect, but it's detectable. Like if you spin a gyroscope inside a pyramid, it spins about 0.5% longer than outside of a pyramid, and the
But
effect is unexplainable. It's like, what is going on here? Is it an increase in inertia due to an increase in mass, or is
what's
it decrease
preventing
in
you from doing
friction?
it though? What's preventing you from doing it?
Space.
Oh, that's true.
See,
Yeah.
see, now I would have already thought that you would have had something like that out of copper, because you can get
Yeah.
that thick electrician's copper, and I
Mhm.
bought some here,
You
so
put
I
it
could
right over
bend
your
it.
bed.
I could bend it into a triangle and then put it like over the top of me while I sit here and
Mhm.
doing my show,
Mhm.
concentrating all my energy
Yeah.
above me. I
Yeah.
wonder
You
what.
know what you're gonna do with that? Do you know? You think you'd be able to have your show inside of a copper pyramid? Do you know what's gonna happen? It's gonna be
No.
interesting. Yeah, do that. Let me see what happens. This is gonna be fascinating.
Why? What do you think would happen?
Well, it's going to
We
interfere
have
with electronics. Is that what you're thinking?
if it's copper,
Yeah.
and he does it right. Oh, honey, yeah. It's if you have a copper pyramid that big, it's gonna mess with your electronics.
Yeah,
Really?
same with, I've done
Right.
experiments where with wearing various headgear, like this IKEA salad bowl here, which I deformed to conform to the shape of my head, and it has very interesting psychological effects, because I had a really weird experience a couple of years ago
Is that
where
stainless steel
during
or zinc? What's that made out of?
it's stainless steel, and
So
Okay,
it'll be like a
it's
tinfoil hat,
yeah,
basically.
exactly, yeah.
it's steel.
I
It's
can't do
steel.
it right now because I got the headphones
No,
on,
yeah.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's interesting that it definitely calms you down, because it cancels out most of the extraneous electromagnetic fields that you're exposed to.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I had a bizarre experience when I was detoxing from alcohol. It was actually the last time I drank alcohol, where for 2 days straight I was receiving telepathic transfers from the Italian TV station Rai Due, and it was without the sound. And anytime I closed my eyes, within a couple of seconds, I would just see like a TV screen, and I would see whatever was broadcast on Rai Due. And this was confirmed by an independent third party who actually has Rai Due, and she was like shocked that I was describing as exactly what she was seeing on her TV screen. The only way I could cancel that was by putting a pot over my head and grounding it. But then later on, as I was moving around, I lost the ground and discovered that it still worked. In other words, any type of metal shielding will shield against electromagnetic waves interfering in your mental processes. So the immediate effect is a calming effect. If you wear it for more than an hour, you start to get tired a little bit for some reason. And that's also interesting that in that one video that you sent, a lot of the kings of old and emperors would wear various headgear made of metal, like the crown. I've also done experiments with like a cake mold that I conformed to the shape of my head, made of aluminum. That too has different effects than this, where it's a subtle difference in mental state, where the crown tends to excite the mind a little bit more, because it cancels the effects, the electromagnetic waves going tangentially to the surface, to the surface of the Earth, but it's not canceling out the ones that are going from above. And I think there is a difference in the effect, because I've done also experiments with copper. I have a copper pot that I've insulated with foam on the inside that I wear over my head. Also has different effects, because I've when I've played around with my EMF detector and seeing which one is the best at blocking EMF, it's definitely the copper one, because it'll you put a cell phone inside it, it won't go off when you dial the number, but it will go off if you put it inside a steel like drill case that I have for it. It'll still go off. In other words, it doesn't shield everything, but then again, it doesn't necessarily have to for you to gain the beneficial effects of shielding. Yeah.
Hmm.
In other words, I've done a lot of these experiments on my own. We're still live, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're a little bit off the subject, but we're wrapping it
Yeah.
up. It's all right. We're closing down. Everybody's heading over to Max Vision. I put the link in the show, and Horns of the Goddess tomorrow for
Yay.
me and Nina, where we're on, I don't know what chapter, 12, 13, 12,
11.
11.
Chapter 11.
I knew it was
Yes.
over 10. But it's getting really good. This
Yeah.
one is going to be real good and juicy. This is where things start to happen
Mhm.
in the home
Your
life.
discretion.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Tell
no.
you what, a rated R book read almost.
Interesting.
Oh, anyway, but thank you all for coming tonight. Well, let's wrap this up, and I hope all the veterans out there, wishing them a happy Veterans Day, and for thanking them for their service. I know my dad is a veteran, so shout out to him. Thank you to everybody in the chat, maybe who's been a veteran from at one point in time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're just trying right now. We're just trying to avoid all the wars, and may there not be any more veterans in the world, because there's no wars to fight. All right.
Just say no to war. That's right.
No
Yeah.
wars, no wars, no
No
wars.
more wars.
Yeah,
And
we
say
can all
no to
live in
go to
peace.
the war. No to the military. Don't
That's
go. Don't do
that's
that.
right. With that, everybody, go out. Remember, be the frequency you want to receive. Everyone, love y'all. Peace, everybody.